Hi, welcome to James Miller Lifeology, where you learn to simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. My name is James Miller. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a composer. Thank you so much for joining with us today. Let's get started. I really wanted to take a quick second just to thank all of you who continually support and listen to James Miller Lifeology Radio. It has been such an exciting adventure for me. There are so many amazing things that are happening over here that I definitely want to share with you. So for the next few months, every person who signs up for my free newsletter will be entered into a drawing. In this monthly drawing, whomever wins will win a free 30-minute Skype call with me, James Miller. I will help you simplify and transform your spirit, mind, and body. So go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and sign up for my free newsletter there. Who knows, maybe you will be the lucky winner. So sign up today. I have a great show for you today. I'm going to help you stop living your life on autopilot. I'll also be interviewing Kuwaiti author Alebraheem, who shares insight into his book, 5 Essential Dimensions, How to Balance Your Life for Health, Success, and Contentment. This book will help you break down your life into 5 categories and learn how to balance each one of them effectively. There is a French story of a young boy named Peter who received a silver ball from an old woman. The old woman tells Peter that inside the silver ball is a thin golden thread. She explains, this thread is your life thread. If you don't touch the thread, your life will pass normally. But if you wish to have time pass more quickly, all you have to do is pull on the thread a little and an hour will pass by like a minute. However, the woman warns him, use the thread carefully, for once the thread is pulled out, it can never be pushed back in again. At first, Peter is just happy to have this precious gift and is a little afraid to use it. But one day, he's bored with his math class and gives the thread a tiny pull. Suddenly, the school day is over and he is walking the forest path back to his home. After this experience, Peter uses the gift of the magic thread whenever life seems boring and a little difficult. As Peter grows, he continues to pull on that magic thread. He pulls it to hasten his marriage, hurry along to payday, and help his children become self-sufficient sooner. He uses the unique gift whenever he is impatient or tested. Suddenly, he wakes to find that he is an old man, living all alone. He searches for the old woman to return the silver ball and asks for a second chance to live his life without it. He says to her, your magic ball is a wonderful gift. I've never had to suffer or wait for anything, but life has passed too quickly. I feel that I've had no time to take in what has happened to me, neither the good nor the bad. Stop living your life on autopilot. Usually when we think of the word autopilot, we typically think of a plane that's flying by itself. Many times we don't realize that throughout our day, we often do that same type of thing. We're just not aware or conscious of really what we're doing. Sometimes that can be something as simple as just walking down the street on your phone and not even paying attention to the people around you. Or other times you're not really present in a conversation. You're waiting for the other person to stop talking so then you can start talking again. In bigger areas in our life, it can be simply we're not thriving or really living our life to the fullest. That's usually found in what's considered mediocrity. Mediocrity is essentially just doing something the same way over and over again without really growing or developing. You have the same routine, which there's nothing wrong with that per se. If you find that you're not growing and developing emotionally, spiritually, or just even physically, in other words, in your diet and exercise, then you probably need to revisit that. One of the difficult things is when we do go throughout our day, we often have so many things we have to do that we don't simply just stop and slow down. When we can slow down and just appreciate the things in front of us or just right this second, it helps us really recognize if we're doing the healthiest thing for us. Because the healthiest thing sometimes is not the thing you've been doing before. And once again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a very busy life. I'm all for that. But it is important for us to slow down as much as possible and be aware of every single thing we're doing. For example, as you're listening to this right now, if you're sitting down, why are you sitting that way? And more than likely, you'll say, well, it's because it's comfortable. But if you didn't realize that you purposely sat that way, that's really a form of going on autopilot. And the reason why I use that type of example is when we do something over and over again and our subconscious just does it because we've done it for so long, sometimes we forget that there's another way or there's a healthier way or there's a more developed way to do that. So that's a really good example of a simple thing of what we typically do when we do go on autopilot. My guest today, Alebraheem, shares his book, The 5 Essential Dimensions, How to Balance Your Life for Health, Success, and Contentment. This phenomenal book really helps you look at your life from 5 different categories. And these categories will help you stop living your life on autopilot and give you insight and wisdom to live a peaceful and tranquil life. But in doing that, you really want to be aware of how this version of not really being conscious of what you do all the time, how that really plays into these 5 categories. But I wanted to give you a little bit of foundational information before he and I discuss his wonderful book. So remember, autopilot is just simply not paying attention to what is good and right and healthy for you in every moment. Are Are you a life coach, author, speaker, and entrepreneur who is serious about getting massive exposure for your business? Well, you need to secure your seat at the inaugural New Media Summit and get the high-level visibility you deserve. Come see me and 39 other high-profile media influencers September 21st to the 24th of 2017 in beautiful San Diego, California. At this summit, you will receive detailed training on leveraging and monetizing the power of new media and have a guaranteed face-to-face meeting with me and 39 other high-level media celebrities who could make you famous with the push of a button. Seating is limited, so reserve your spot today. Simply go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and the first thing you see there is the links to this phenomenal event. Simply click on the link and purchase your ticket today. Remember, this is the #1 event for connecting with the world's leading influencers and getting booked on today's most listened to, watched, and read new media outlets. Go to my website, jamesmillerlifeology.com, and purchase your ticket today. I look forward to meeting you very soon. Joining us today, all the way from Kuwait, is Abdullah Alebraheem. He is the author of the book, 5 Essential Dimensions. This book was initially written in Arabic and translated into English. Mr. Alebraheem is a well-known writer in Kuwait, where he writes a column for Kuwait's best-selling newspaper, Al-Qabas. He writes about philosophy, spirituality, ethics, and politics. His theory, 5 Essential Dimensions, builds a strong argument that life consists of 5 elements: the financial, social, physical, internal, and spiritual. He offers a very unique perspective that will help us to recognize these elements and provide suggestions for better, healthier life. Welcome to my show, Alebraheem.
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so honored that you would join with us today, all the way from Kuwait.
Thank you. Thank you, James.
This book, The 5 Essential Dimensions, is an amazing book. When I was reviewing it, I was really excited to share this with my listeners today. So how did this book even come about? How did you come up with the 5 Essential Dimensions?
Actually, we will return back when I start writing in Al-Qabas as a column writer. And many of my friends keep asking me to write a book. So this is where I start thinking about collecting some ideas, some thoughts. So when I write the book, I found there is some pattern where I can recognize that this ideas can be in pattern or in shape that everyone can use it. Mm-hmm. So this is where the book being written, and after I write it the first time, I rewrite it again as the theory of the book about 5 essential dimensions in each decision.
Okay, so you said that your friends, just so I understand, so you're saying that your friends, they wanted you to write a book, and so as you were thinking about this, you realized it's applicable pretty much to everybody, this theory that you came up with. And then you wrote it once, you wrote it again, and now you're really ready to share with all of my listeners about what those dimensions are?
Exactly. This is what I am willing to.
That's great. Well, then one of the things you talk about is happiness. You know, you have a different perception about happiness itself. And, you know, at the beginning of the book, you talk about how happiness, it's not necessarily possible for us humans. Why don't you tell us more about that?
Okay, actually, one of the things that I found it in a research paper saying that happiness dominates 85 to 90% of human action. And this dominating is directly and indirectly. So people who think that happiness is found in the weekend, this concept of happiness will motivate them to be work harder all the weekdays until they reach the weekend. At this weekend, they will start enjoying their moment that they believe on it. So, on other way, this moment actually dominate our action. So we need to ask ourselves simple question: is happiness exist? And this is where I talk about happiness concept at the beginning of the book. And I say that happiness is something our parents, Adam and Eve, lost it. And we are searching for happiness in different locations. Logically, if we assume that happiness exists at the beginning of the earth, nobody will build the earth, and nobody will have any development. Why?
Oh, I
Because
see. I see what you're going.
because we don't need to do anything. We are happy.
Correct.
So there is a perfect dose of a happy moment. There is no happiness that is lasting. All happiness that we getting is the moment that we cannot be increased. When we have a great moment, that's it. No more, no less. Second thing, this moment, if we get it from food, if we get it from company, it is temporary.
And so with that, I understand in the sense of if I didn't, just like you said at the beginning of this, if I didn't struggle in life, if everything was quote unquote perfect, well, then I wouldn't develop and grow as a person because I've already reached that version of heaven, if you will, or my version of perfection. So when we have this idea that we're looking for something, there's a cause and effect, there's opposites. And so for me to look for my form of happiness, that causes me to grow and develop in a way so that I can experience that happiness. Is that about right?
It is, James. But my idea is that happiness cannot be a goal.
Okay, I see.
It is dominating us. It is dominate our action. But does it exist? We need to be more conscious to target tranquility. Tranquility is achievable goal. Happiness is a goal where we set it unconsciously, and we need to be aware of what's happening in our life.
Yes. Well, I think happiness is also, it's based off of something. Something happens, I'm happy. Where tranquility is a state of mind. It's a choice that we have in everything we do, regardless if we consider it good or bad. Tranquility is something we can attain, where happiness is the outcome of something.
That's what I mean.
I got it. And yes, we definitely get that. And I'd really agree with you, because tranquility, it's a conscious choice to feel tranquil, as opposed to happiness is based off of my weekend. I'm having a great time with my friends, but once that's over with, happiness is gone. But tranquility is that foundation of how we can live our life.
That's true. And there is a link, James, between tranquility and happiness. You know, when you have the tranquility, you will be able to catch the happy moment. While who has no tranquility, they have happy moments, but they don't know how to benefit because they don't have the readiness to catch this moment.
They don't have the foundation for it. Yes,
the foundation. Also, the tranquility gives us the other side, where we need to deal with sad moments, where it exists in every human life. So tranquility will give us the capability to deal with this and make it limited, short, and doesn't harm us very bad.
Yes, because the tranquility is, like we said earlier, the foundation that regardless of what happens in my life, I have the ability to find an answer. I have the ability to find a positive outcome for me to get through it. It's that peace which passes all understanding. We don't understand it, but it happens. And that peace and that tranquility that gives us that hope that there is an answer for us.
That's true. James, everyone in his life, he has, the psychologists call it the margin of tolerance. So tranquility will increase this margin. We will tolerate our kids when they get mad. We will tolerate our neighbor when they annoying us. We will tolerate our employees, you know. This is where tranquility help us to become more human. My book is to develop or improve the human maturity. I don't want you or any listener to think that it is about philosophy. No, it is about tools. I'm giving direct tools. What I'm saying, James, that life is all about decision.
Yes.
And decisions are the things that makes us the master of this earth. Not because we are stronger. There is many animals stronger than us. Just because we are taking the right decision. We put the lion in the cage and we make a zoo. for these stronger animals. So it is where we have the superiority against everything.
Yes.
So, any creature. So how we improve this maturity of decision that makes us the master of this earth is by seeing 5 dimensions in each decision that we took.
Yes. And so those dimensions are financial, physical, social, spiritual,
and internal.
And internal, yes. So with that, when you talk about equilibrium, which is balance, is that what you're essentially saying, that tranquility is a foundation for that balance, for the equilibrium in those 5 things?
Each dimension has its own mechanism to have the equilibrium status. All right? So this is where I want to expand a little. And for example, on the first one, the financial. The financial equilibrium in my book, actually, if you let me just take you earlier stage on one theory is behind my book. I believe there is one assumption in my book that everything in this world is balanced. So if we have a look using the biggest telescope to the universe, we will touch this balance on the universe. And if we use the most powerful microscope, we will see also the balance. So the idea is so simple. We are balanced like everything in this world. All what we need to remove obstacles, to return to balance status. Each 5 dimensions have their own equilibrium.
Their own balance.
If it is not balanced, we should search for the obstacles where prevent of being balanced. So the financial, we actually in my book I say example that everyone get born and his hand are closed. Why? And no one trying to open them because they knows well nothing inside them. And most of people, they are dying. They leave fortune. And this is normal. One of the idea we need to understand, we need to be patient and work hard because money doesn't have legs.
That's right. I wish it did.
Yes. So many, one of the the second obstacle in my book, it is so simple. How to have the financial equilibrium? Remove the obstacles.
Exactly.
What is the 5 obstacles in my book? Setting unrealistic
expectations,
goals. Yes, ambitions, laziness, ignorance. What is the mechanism to reach the financial equilibrium? Take a decision.
Make a decision, yes.
Focus on the long term and the short term at the same time. Don't focus on short term. You will have a problem.
Going back to what you said about being laziness as well, when people have this idea of, people I've seen on social media, they will say, God is going to give me so much money today. He's going to bless me with that. But they don't realize, well, God can only bless you if you aren't lazy, if you go and you work, and so many times people don't realize that there's so many elements that we have to do to get that goal. So for you're saying focus, removing the obstacle. Well, the obstacle could be I'm lazy, or I haven't researched to know what I don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
They don't know. Let me interrupt you.
Sure.
They don't know that God says in Quran, in Bible, move your legs.
That's right. Which is so true.
Yes, actually, it is. There is no actually. Religion are the 5 dimensions, and I tackle it in totally different way. And it is we can talk about it endlessly, but it is also one of the consideration, one of the dimension that we consider it when we are taking decision. We need to see the dimension. Does God allow that? I will not say, the spiritual dimension, where is a big trap. Most of people, successful people, are falling down on this trap. They don't consider that this universe have a master.
Yes.
And they think that they can set their own values, they can set their own ethics, and that's enough. And so we see many people are they don't consider spirituality. One of the things that I see, and my theory built in, that you cannot be very mature human unless you deal with the spirit dimension.
The spiritual dimension, yep.
Yes.
Well, I agree in the sense of, when I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I want to maybe expound more on this for my listeners, is you broke down, because many people think, since we're made up of our mind, our body, and our spirit, that is who we are overall. But you're talking about areas in people's lives, and you've broken them down to different categories, if you will, of your financial,
yes.
of your spiritual, of your mind, of your social, of those yes. particular aspects. You've broken it down into each category. You give practical tools and techniques of how to find equilibrium, in other words, balance, for each one of these dimensions or each one of these categories. And many people don't realize that there are different categories in one's life. There are different dimensions. And if they don't take the moment to think about it and to figure out what it is that's stopping them, for example, laziness or their obstacles that they're not aware of, they will never reach their highest potential.
Correct.
And so I really like how practical your book is because it does break it down into 5 categories, the 5 essential categories.
Right.
And from there, people can then figure that out. Well, this is how I can live a successful life, is by the different tools and techniques that Alebraheem talks about.
Right. The 4th dimension for any decision is the internal equilibrium. So I want to give example where everyone can use it in his life. So let's say that you have a flight, and one of your closest friend have a taxi, and he take you $50 while the normal taxi charge you $100 to the airport. And you see it is bargain. Do you accept it? So this example is showing you that you need to see the internal equilibrium in this decision making that you are taking. And you should see the social equilibrium. So let's say this friend delayed for 10 minutes and you are strict to the flight schedule, and you know that. You will feel internally
stressed,
yes. a bad feeling. You will maybe lose him if you say, I will take a taxi, you are late, So this delay have a huge cost. This cost, I want to every listener to see, to add it to his bill. It is not $50.
Correct. Yes. Because there's so much stress that goes along with that. So it goes back to that quality of life in that moment. What balances your life so you don't have the stress? So you're not in a position where
you don't have, and you don't risk losing best friend.
Correct.
This is another thing. You should consider the risk of losing a friend. As you know, that most humans are under autopilot.
Yes, we are.
We keep talking on the mobile, and finally we reach our home. We don't know what we did while we are driving. This is where I want everyone get rid of this autopilot. We need to take our decision consciously.
Yes.
The researcher found that on the dinner meal, human take around 200 decisions on the meal.
Just looking at the menu.
Looking at the menu, for example.
Sure.
And what he eat, how he chewing the food, which direction he used to chewing. the length of the chewing.
The chewing, yes.
So it is a lot of decision. These decisions are at the end, we are a collective of this all decision that we make, And in my last chapter on my book, I talk about something called the equilibrium of our equilibrium machine, where our brains need to be checked. Is it in equilibrium mode or not?
Yes, is it a balanced mode or not? Yes, I agree.
Right.
Well, I think I want to interrupt you for 1 second because I do want to go back to what you're saying. Yes, when we are on autopilot and we do not stop and think, well, what are the potential outcomes or potential consequences, for example, of my friend who's only going to charge me half price or $50, when we think, oh, that's a great deal, I'm going to do it, but we don't think about what happens if he's late, and what happens if I miss my flight, or how could this affect my friendship with him? So I think it goes, everything I'm hearing you say is when we slow everything down, and before we make a decision, you have to look at it in all these different dimensions to say, or categories, is how is this going to affect me? And when you can do that, you live a life that's very balanced and very healthy.
Absolutely right. Just look to your hand. You have 5 fingers. Before taking any decision, you have 5 fingers. These 5 fingers is a reminder.
Oh, that's great. I like that.
And this is my book logo.
Yeah, and it's actually on the cover of your book. That's right, yes.
Right. We need to. Why they are 5, not why they are not
That's
4.
funny.
It is just a reminder.
Yes, I love that. That's great.
Yes.
So when you look at your fingers and you think about all the different dimensions, so really before you make a decision or before you move forward in your life, you want to maybe check those fingers off to really think it through to make sure, how is this going to affect me after I make this decision based on these 5 dimensions or 5 categories?
Yes.
Because it really makes you stop and think it through. And well, really, financially, this $50, if I'm saving $50 for my friend taking me, that's great. That meets that goal. But what about this internal one? Or what about this, my tranquility?
The risk.
Correct.
Yeah,
and then you have to say, well, is it worth the risk? And if it is, well, you're making a decision, and then whatever the outcome is a natural consequence because you chose to make that decision.
And this is where the internal equilibrium is important.
Yes. And that's where you'll always find tranquility. Well, unfortunately, Alebraheem, our time is up, but I wanted to thank you so much for joining with us today. If my listeners would like to find out more information about you and about your amazing book, The 5 Dimensions, where will they find your information online?
Actually, I'm building my English platform, but right now they can find me in my Twitter account. It is one word, Light Philosophy. Light Philosophy.
Light Philosophy, okay.
Yeah.
And what if they like to purchase the book? Where may they purchase your book?
It is in Amazon, and there is many links on videos. They can visit my author page also there.
Wonderful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then put it also on my storefront in jamesmillerlifeology.com. And if my listeners would like to read your book or purchase your book, they may click on my site and it'll link them directly with Amazon and they can purchase it there.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. I also want to thank you, my listener, for joining with me today. Please subscribe to this radio show through whichever portal you joined with me. Also, please go to my website where you may sign up for my newsletter, enroll in the Lifeology Academy, watch my YouTube episodes, and read all the articles I've written just for you. If you'd like to become a guest or advertise on my show, simply visit jamesmillerlifeology.com. You may also follow me on all social media platforms under the name James Miller Lifeology, except for Twitter, which is James M. Lifeology. Have a fantastic day, and I look forward to speaking with you very soon.